Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Tuesday, November 25th. And markets holding on to their gains. I don't know quite what that little pop here was at 740, but I don't think no news coming out at that time. Mortgage service, mortgage, no, nothing coming out there. And the only news we have is at 8:30. With the news starts coming out. And the market is holding on to their gains. Been holding in no retracement in the overnight, at least for now. So we're starting off here pretty strong, right? Smack in the middle of this range, and we are awaiting the PPI number. So that's what we have on news. Coming out at 8:30, PPI and retail sales. That's going to be two big numbers coming out right there at 8:30 in about 20 minutes. Then we have housing data at 9. We have consumer confidence at 10. Business inventory, pending home sales at 10 as well. So fair amount of news coming out today, this morning, 8:30, 9, and 10. And thereafter, we slow down a bit. A 5-year auction at 1. It could be interesting, at least on the bond market, if you're looking at the bonds. Then on Wednesday, we get the durable goods, international trade, jobless claims, corporate profit, and a ton of stuff coming out at 8:30. New home sales, personal income and outlets at 10. That's your PCE index. That's an inflation read coming out at 10 tomorrow. And of course, then Thursday, Friday are going to be half days. So that's going to be Thanksgiving and the squeeze day in between on Friday. So Thursday, Friday is going to be pretty much non-existent in terms of trading, but it's we get a bulk of stuff coming out here today and tomorrow in terms of news. The fact that we're holding on, we had a nice rally up here yesterday. We're holding on to the gains, and I would start off range bound. I would start with a slight bias to the upside. We are pretty much in the middle of this range, so you can argue just start off flat out range bound. But I would start with a slight bias to the upside just to see if they can retest these highs and keep retracing this to the upside. I need to move this guy up a bit. I missed this guy. There you have the upper edge. Yes, move that. There you go. Okay, now what's going on with that? There it is. That was sloppy. Anyway, so I was looking at this edge here, and that's fine. I moved it a little too much. Yeah, I get one that had to this drawing tool stuff when it's a big chart like that. Anyway, so it's a little bit delay on that update. Anyway, so looking at the F1, we have it right smack in the middle of this range. We have an attractor up here at 67, 65 to 70s. We have a lower attractor here at the 66, 66, so 65, so about 100 points lower. And that's kind of the range we have. Chances are we're going to be in this range for a little bit. Now, the probe to the downside the other day, retest failure, we're right back up in this range. So you can make a case for a flat out range bound trading day, but I would start off with that slight bias to the upside to see if they're going to retrace this, maybe head up, maybe challenge this 6,800 level at one point. But initially, looking to buy weakness against that 67.10s. Well, I'm not going to buy against the 67.20s. We're trading right there now. So I'm going to watch you for a little bit of weakness, 67.10, 6700s, 6690s, 6680s for rotations back up. Now, if they start trading below that 6680s, I will be more inclined to, we're going to get right back to that 6670 attractor. And then probably stay range bound there. Not going to be too worried about weakness. I'm not looking to buy more weakness than down here, down to the 66, 6700s. Below that, but I'm probably going to go back range bound. Still looking to buy against these lower areas though. But if it's going to run down to that lower attractor, 6670, then we are, and this is going to be this area right here, 6670. So we have these two attractors. We are trading right in between it right now. So if we retrace back to that lower attractor, it's a mode in the short term. That mode moved up a little bit on the F1 on the longer term chart. I would not be too worried unless they start taking out that 6670, that attractor on the downside. Then I'm going to start worried about the short side of the market. we have a range there we can go back and forth in. So, and the 65.70, it's up here. So they run up here and start testing that the ledge here at 67.60s. That's when you get right to that upper attractor. So those are the two high volume areas close by. We're going to go between those two, and we are right smack in the middle of it right now. So we're starting off slight bias to the upside. Let's see if they can run it higher, if we get a continuation of that momentum. If not, probably going to stay in that range, trading between two levels. If they start blowing out the 67.70s on the upside, I would probably lean in on the long side a little bit more to start taking out this upper area, especially this 6,800 volume edge. That comes out, we are back on track again, heading higher. If they start taking out that lower edge at the 66.70, it's going to be this area right there. If that starts coming out, I would be more inclined to lean on the short side and see how far they can take it. You kind of have to take it out and head a little bit lower. So you'll see them. If they start taking out that 70, start taking out the 60s, something is going on at that point. Chances are, if they run down here, they're probably going to stall here for a little bit. The same thing, if they run high, they're probably going to stall here at the upper area of the upper attraction area as well. This is a chunk of volume right here. And as they start taking out these lower edges, these volume edges on the downside or upside, we can start looking at potential directional moves in the bigger market. Yeah, I mean, the news we have today could certainly set it off. It's getting into, I mean, it's a short week, and the volume out right now is probably going to be on the lower end. It's going to probably start tapering off a bit. We got 173,000 on the on the micro ES, which is okay. It's actually pretty good. 140,000 on the ES, a little bit higher, usually it's around 100,000, so a little bit more than normal. And so there's definitely some activity going on out there. So that's how we get started on the way up, looking for short setups against the 67.30s, the 67.50s, 67.60s for rotations back down again. But I would be running up towards that upper attractor. Minimize that too. So if they start taking out that 67.75, this upper area, I think we have a good shot at running it up to the 67.90, 6800 edge and test that one. But this general area up here, this is your attractor area on the upside. So I would look for short setups against these three levels, against this area at the 67.30 as well. That would be your aggressive short. Now, if they take out this area, I mean, there's a case to be made, and I can put that on there just to make it obvious. Right here, you see the volume, little mode here from that prior overnight distribution. That could be an area they're going to bounce on. So pay attention to that. If they start heading higher, I would hop on the long side and see how far they can take it. Because there's a fair amount of range running it up here to that 67.50. It's a good 10 points on the upside. This area, though, the 67, 44, 45, watch that. If they run into that area, there could be a bounce right there. And if they keep going, look for short setups against the 50s, the 60s, up to the 70s here for rotations back down. Now, which one's going to hold? Anyone's guess. I think the stronger edge would be this four-letter edge right there, and this little mode there. Those are probably the stronger ones. All right, so that's how we get started on the ES. And let's see how far we can get with this one. I'm going to try to put this stuff together. I get bigger screens now. I realize I can probably put both the NASDAQ screens on one of these big monitors and just keep one projecting. Let's see if I can make that happen here later on. NASDAQ. On the NASDAQ, we have a very similar setup. A nice move to the upside. The capital flow on the NASDAQ is definitely it's same story there. We have a little bit wider volume range on the NASDAQ, not as well defined. The upper edge of that one is going to be at the 25, 350, 360s. The lower edge of that guy is down here at the 24, 6 to 700s. And right now we are just above that lower attractor area. So not quite as strong as the ES, but NASDAQ can move. So we'll see how far they can take it. And I spread it out a little bit. So you have a few more single prints to retrace here. So I'm going to be looking to buy weakness early on, see if they can take this higher against that 880s and the 820s. Below 820s, I'm going to look for more retracement trade to the downside and see if they can retrace this lower down here to the 730s or the 650s. It could be nice short setups there because there's a fair amount of range between these support areas. There could be stuff in between, but I would be more inclined to see if I hop on a short trade on the way down here. Same way on the way up. It start heading higher, looking for shorts against the 930s and the 990 to 25,000. This is just shy of 25,000. But if they take out that 2980 to 25,000 level, chances are we have a potential long setting up here for running up here to the 25,040s, maybe even up here to that 150s. So fair amount of range. So as they take out the resistance there, it could be nice opportunities for a move to the for a short or for a long go with type of trade when that happens. Just have to be mindful that you don't buy into resistance or sell into support, or that you're too aggressive on the buying opportunity when they start breaking out, because a lot of those breakouts are flat out fake outs. So they run the stops above the odds. You're looking at the stop run. They just run it up here to see how many hot stops they can hit. That's not the one you want to buy into. You want to buy into the one after that, after they pull back from that guy and they try it again and start extending. That's when you have an opportunity for extension to the upside, or same on the downside. You just don't fall for that first probe to the upside where they're trying to run the stops. If they do it twice and you get caught on the second one, well, that's just trading, I guess. The first time is a pretty obvious setup when they try to run it like that, and it just gets you. It's easy enough to get caught in that. Yes, if you stare on the short-term screen, you see it starts breaking out. You hop on the long side, and then find it just reverses right back in your face. That's the reason. That's the reason for it. Anyway, so Nasdaq, same as the ES, starting with a slight bias to the upside. Let's see if we can get some continuation. If not, then they're probably going to be a range bound day. But both the ES and Nasdaq are trading in a range, and I would not worry about the Nasdaq on the short end of this until they take out the 600 to 650s. So they are down here in this area. They hear you 650s. To start taking out that lower area, I would start worrying about the short side. And on the long side, if they start heading, taking out that 25,040, you have a pretty wide range here where there's some room to go higher. So we could be an interesting day on both the short or long side, depending on how the news comes out and if the general risk-on behavior is still with us. And then finally, on the bonds, bond market is moving a little bit. So making a nice move higher. Definitely up to the 118 edge right now. And if you look at the capital flow and on the bond market, this is interesting. So now we have taken this out. We are heading higher. We're up here against this volume edge right now. This little volume edge right there, the higher the value range. And if you get up in this upper area, we can see shot up here at the 119s pretty quick. So higher in bond prices and lower yields, that's a good sign for the stock market. But let's see what happens here. So that's ran up here before the open. Now the bond market is opening. Let's see how this whole thing shakes out. So they're taking out the 118 already up here against this area. So I don't have an edge until the 118.10 up here. So we'll see if we get something in between here. But I would start off on the long side on the bonds, given what I'm seeing right now. Look to buy weakness. Right now, aggressive would be buying it against the 118s, 117.30. 117.24, 25, 117.20s for rotations back up. Below the London close, we're definitely taking off any long bias and going back range bound. Also, after the 11:30, if they haven't extended, we may take off the long bias as well. But right now, I'm starting from the long side, and let's see how far I can take it. Also, if this is the little run up here before sometimes you have pretty much this run up happening before the open. So it could be a nice retest failure setting up here early on here. I'm going to be looking for it. And we'll see if any nice bond trades pop up here. But anyway, so starting off with this bias to the upside on the bonds, let's see how far I can take it. All right, so back to the ES, and there we have it. So I'm going to mess around with the screens a little bit here later on here, see if I can pull this together. Alrighty, so I'll leave it there for now, guys. And we have news coming out in about 9 minutes. It's going to be PPI and retail sales. Both of them are big numbers, so he's going to see a little bit of action here in a few minutes. Alrighty, guys, good trading, and I'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update. All right, guys, later.